we're going to get ready to paint our still life painting. And we're going to work from a reproduction, which is with the printed images that I gave you. You want to find this one. You also need your graphite stick and a pen and a pencil, masking tape, not the wax paper. We want the tracing paper. So you have about 3 or 4 of these tracing papers in your supplies and only 1 wax paper. The wax paper feels waxy and smooth and it's very shiny. The tracing paper is not shiny at all. You want the pad that says acrylic and oil on the back, and you want your cardboard. So we're going to put those aside for a minute and start with the tracing paper and this image. Move the image down to the bottom so you'll have some extra tracing paper up here if you want to use that later for something else. And trace over all the lines in the image, even the shadows, and you might have to lift the tracing paper up to see them a little bit better. I have already done that here. I have this traced. And then you're going to tear off a sheet of the acrylic pad. And we always paint on the surface that feels a little bit more rough. So you can kind of feel that side and this side. The rough side is the one that you want. I'm going to turn the paper this way and center the drawing in the middle. There are 2 ways that you can transfer from the tracing paper. You can turn the drawing over and then use your graphite stick and trace over all the pencil lines that you drew on the front. Put it back on top of your acrylic paper and then use your pencil. Make sure the pencil is sharp and trace over those lines. Now, if you find that those lines are too light, then you might need to grab that pen and use the pen instead. And that might transfer the drawings a little bit darker. You could also use a light table like I have here, in which case you would put the tracing paper underneath the acrylic paper and then trace the lines. Obviously, I know that you're working at home and you probably don't have a light table like this, but you could use a window also. You would just tape the tracing paper up to the window and then tape your acrylic pad on top and trace it so that all the lines are showing. Turn off. Now the next thing you want to do is tape your painting down. We have our value scales on the back. We're going to tape this down, and you want your tape to cover all the edges of the paper so that it stays flat while you're painting it. When you paint, you'll find that as the paper gets wet, it bubbles up a little bit under you. So taping it down with masking tape keeps that from happening. If you want it super firm, you can kind of pull on it a little bit or push it totally flat before pressing the tape down. Don't be lazy and just tape the corners. That's not going to be a good fix for you. The paper will keep bubbling up underneath you if you work like that. So get all the way to the edges so that your tape covers all the paper. And when it is time for you to remove the tape, like we must remove the tape from our value scales, you want to move it this way. Instead of pulling the tape away from the paper like this, which causes it to tear, you want to keep the tape as close to the paper as possible. So to do that, you can tear, why are you doing this? At an angle like this. And that'll keep the tape as close to the board as possible, like it's staying as flat with the cardboard, and it won't tear your paper as much. And if you find that the tape is still tearing up your paper, you can use a blow dryer and just kind of blow dry over one of the sheets of tape, and that'll warm up the adhesive and make it a lot softer for you to peel away.